Yasu Malagedo. Welcome to the Malaka podcast. Saturday Night Live. Ladies and gentlemen, I absolutely love Saturday Night Live. To this day, I still watch every episode. Why? Why not? I mean, nowadays you watch Saturday Night Live, it's competing against YouTube and everything else on the fucking internet. And, you hope that it's a good host and, good musical guest. And, I mean, worst case scenario, you hope if it's going to produce at least one or two good skits during the episode, it's a gamble nowadays. It really is. I mean, sometimes it can be really good, sometimes it can be really bad. You just hope that people will remember the good skits and they'll live on like a nice fine glass of wine. Or sometimes they go straight in the shitter. Usually when you watch a skit on Saturday Night Live, you know if it's going to be good or bad. For the most part. But how did Saturday Night Live start? Well, good old Wikipedia can help us out there, right? Right. Making copies. Saturday Night Live, known simply as SNL, is an American late-night live television sketch comedy and variety show created by Lorne Michaels and developed by Dick Ebersol. The show premiered on NBC on October 11th, 1975, under the original title NBC's Saturday Night. The show's comedy sketches, which often parody contemporary culture and politics, are performed by a large and varying cast of repertory and newer cast members. Each episode is hosted by a celebrity guest, who usually delivers the opening monologue and performs in sketches with the cast, as with featured performances by a musical guest. An episode normally begins with a cold open sketch that ends with someone breaking character and proclaiming, "Live from New York, it's Saturday night!" Live from New York, it's Saturday Night Live. Live from New York, it's Saturday Night Live. I don't know what accent is that supposed to be, but I'm just giving you various tones of what Saturday Night Live has to offer. Now, usually they open up with something political or whatever, something that's going on recently in the news the last week. When they aired the very first show, they had no idea what the show was yet. So who they have, probably, in my opinion, one of the funniest men to ever do it on Saturday Night Live, Mr. John Belushi. We're going to get more into him a little later. But he was with Michael McDonald, and they're just sitting in two chairs, shooting the shit, trying to do a voice like this. And I can't do it justice. You know that. But it was hilarious. And Chevy Chase gets on there and says, "Live from New York, it's Saturday night." And that's it. It's that simple. And they had a host, but technically they didn't really have a host. And George Carlin, probably the best comedian of all time, pretty much quarterbacked the whole episode. I believe he showed up 3 times. I don't think he was in any of the sketches. He was just doing a stand-up in between skits. The show didn't really know what it was yet. And then I remember the next episode, they had Paul Simon pretty much do everything, even dress up as a turkey. And, again, they were just experimenting what worked, what didn't, and they had the whole not ready for primetime cast, which is probably one of the best casts of all time, in my opinion. But again, they didn't really know what the show was yet, In 1980, Michaels left the series to explore other opportunities. He was replaced by Jean Dumanian. I hope I'm saying that right. Who was replaced by Ebersol after a season of bad reviews. Now, I'm not even going to lie to you guys. Try to watch an episode, let's say the late 80s, between an 81, 84-ish, whatever. Try to watch a skit or, a short on SNL without Eddie Murphy. Again, it's no disrespect to the cast that was there. It just it just wasn't there, and I said it before and I'll say it again. Without Eddie Murphy, this show would be canceled. But again, we'll get more into that later. Ebersol ran the show until 1985. Since Michael's return, he has held the job of showrunner. Many SNL cast members have found national stardom while appearing on the show and achieved success in film and television, both in front of and behind the camera. Others associated with the show, such as writers, have gone on to successful careers creating, writing, and starring in television and film. Broadcast from Studio 8H at NBC's headquarters in the Comcast building at 30 Rockefeller Plaza, SNL has aired 881 episodes since its debut and began its 45th season on September 28, 2019, making it one of the longest-running network television programs in the United States. The show format has been developed and recreated in several countries, meeting with different levels of success. Successful sketches have been seen life outside the show as feature films, including The Blues Brothers and Wayne's World. The show has been marketed in other ways, including home media releases of best of and whole seasons, and books and documentaries about behind-the-scenes activities of running and developing the show. Yeah, this is a juggernaut, guys. I mean, there's a reason why Saturday Night Live is still on the air. Despite everything that I said before about YouTube and the internet and just everybody else doing their own thing, Saturday Night Live still holds that platform on television. Anyways, throughout 4 decades on air, Saturday Night Live has received a number of awards, including 71 Primetime Emmy Awards, 4 Writers Guild of America Awards, and 2 Peabody Awards. In 2000, it was inducted into the National Association of Broadcasters Hall of Fame. It was ranked 10th in TV Guide's 50 Greatest TV Shows of All Time list. And in 2007, it was listed as one of Time Magazine's 100 Best TV Shows of All Time. As of 2018, the show has received 252 Primetime Emmy Award nominations, the most received by any television program. The live aspect of the show has resulted in several controversies and acts of censorship, with mistakes and intentional acts of sabotage by performers as well as guests. Ladies and gentlemen, when you do things live, things are going to fuck up. Doesn't matter how many times you do it. Maybe you get a little nervous, maybe you forget a line, maybe someone just can't hold in their laughter in the cast. Sometimes it works out great. Sometimes it's annoying when somebody laughs all the time in a sketch. Sometimes it works out. You end up hosting a late night TV show. The point is, anything can happen live. And that's kind of the excitement of the show as well. I mean, there's something, awesome about doing a show live. I mean, you get all amped up, and I'm told that pretty much every episode now costs about $1 million to produce. So where does that $1 million go? I'll be honest with you. I've been told that the cast does not get that much money. It probably goes to the sets, Mr. Michaels, Yeah, it's again, it's up to him how much people get paid. I've heard they only get paid maybe like 5 grand a week or something like that. Again, they don't have a lot of money to spread around. I mean, it depends on what kind of sponsors they get. Now, even when I watch Saturday Night Live, I notice like they're starting to put like sponsors in skits. Like I mean, they could mention a brand name or whatever, a popular drink, whatever. I notice these little things. I mean, it's no big secret. Of course, it's like in Ghostbusters when you open up the fridge. What do you see? 2 cans of Coke right there. If that's not advertisement, I don't know what is. And again, it happens. Someone's got to pay the bills. I don't know where all this money is going to. I assume it's these cool sets and the directors and again, like Lorne Michaels says, like if you want to pay Ringo less, that's up to you. But in the end, they produced a really good looking show, and that's all Lorne Michaels cares about. He just wants to make people laugh. He loves to discover people. I mean, there's been cases where sometimes the person is known a little bit before and sometimes they're not. And, there's something cool about that, just discovering someone and bringing them to the light, And Saturday Night Live is just a great forum for that. So it really doesn't matter how much you get paid. It's just more about the exposure and what can you do with that exposure. Some people stay on Saturday Night Live for not even a season. I mean, maybe they don't make it. Maybe they're, asked to leave. Maybe, they found something else better. I mean, who knows? Some people stay on there for 35 years, like Kenan Thompson. It's up to you. Whatever makes you happy, that's it. I heard a funny story one time where Kevin Nealon, who I believe is one of the funniest people of all time, I like his sarcasm, his presence. He was great on Weeds. But anyways, he was on Howard Stern and he said, yeah, when I was on Saturday Night Live, it got to a point where I just didn't care. I mean, not that he didn't care, but, he was, such a veteran at this. He would literally just, be eating backstage and, he would just go on stage in front of the camera with like potato salad in his mouth and just, do whatever he's got to do. So, yeah, that's the ticket. The point is, you go out there, you get this golden opportunity to go on Saturday Night Live. You get asked to call in for an audition. And you're like, you know what? I can't wait to do this. I'm going to go on there. I'm going to knock them dead. But I've heard stories where you go on there and someone coaches you right before you go on, and they'll say something like, listen, Lorne Michaels has heard everything. If he doesn't laugh, don't worry about it. So it's not really so much about making them laugh. I mean, obviously you want to make people laugh on a funny sketch show, but it's just about giving them something different, something that'll stand out. When you're in this business, you either got it or you don't. It's true. I mean, Belushi had it. Gilda Radner had it. Aykroyd had it. Chris Farley had it. I mean, some people you just look at, and as soon as they go on stage, you're just going to laugh your ass off. And even Jimmy Fallon, who, like I said before, has made a career out of laughing, which, by the way, it sounds like I'm ripping on him. I'm really not. Like, truth is, like, Lorne Michaels has done such a great job creating such like a forum at NBC. I mean, not only with Saturday Night Live, but just doing all these late night shows and putting all his ex-cast members on there. So it's like he wants to just dominate, the majority time on NBC. So that's awesome. I mean, the guy's a really smart guy. I mean, also keep in mind he did Kids in the Hall, which aired in Canada. All 5 of those guys, fucking hilarious. So, I mean, Lorne Michaels to me is just a fucking genius. I mean, the guy can't do anything wrong. I mean, a couple of the movies, went south, like Pat or MacGruber. But then again, MacGruber was like literally a 30-second skit. I mean, it was hard to make an hour and a half movie out of that, something about celery and Ryan's ass. I don't know. The point is, they all can't be winners. We get it, But anyways, so you're performing more than likely in front of Lorne Michaels, and I've heard Dan Aykroyd is there too a lot of times, and then maybe someone else, maybe one of the writers, who knows. And you got to come up with 3 characters. And like I was saying before, Jimmy Fallon, was lucky enough to get picked, and he just said he did an impersonation of a couple people, and one of them was Adam Sandler. And when he did Adam Sandler, he made Lauren laugh. And he even said, like, I made Lauren laugh. Worst case, if they don't pick me, fine. I made Lorne Michaels laugh. That's it, which I can't imagine is an easy thing to do. So, he was lucky enough to get picked. And as we all know, he did a Taxi. But then after that, it worked out. So don't worry. That's cool. And I just can't imagine what it would be like just to perform in front of them and like that pressure, you know what I mean? But obviously you're going to perform live in front of people on Saturday Night Live. So if you can't perform in front of 3 people, how are you going to do it in front of millions of people? Or worst case scenario, the next day on YouTube. So it's just an awesome experience. The problem with Saturday Night Live nowadays, though, is like I said before, it's competing against everybody. Okay, back in the day, they wanted something to fill in Saturday night, because they knew people went out on Friday night, and Saturday night, a lot of people had cocktail parties, and they just wanted to chill at home, and they wanted to play something in the background, something to watch late night, And that's all it was. And it just became this monster hit and brought all these incredible people to the forefront and for us to discover on television. And it's awesome. The problem is that the internet is pretty much giving everybody a voice. So now they got to compete against everything on there. Now, Saturday Night Live does air on Saturday nights, obviously, between 11:30 p.m. and it ends at around 1 a.m. So that's an hour and a half they got to fill in. Take away the commercials, it's about an hour and a little bit. And they still consider it a family show. You can't swear on there. People have gotten in shit for swearing. I forgot that one guy in the 80s. I don't know. He swore at the end of the show, and then I don't know. They told me he'd still keep his job, whatever. But then he mentioned it the next episode, and then he got fired. It's like, dude, come on, really? But shit happens. What are you gonna do? And they're competing with everything on YouTube, and I don't know, YouTube, you're pretty much allowed to go nuts. I mean, I don't know, you can't show tits or anything. I don't know, maybe you can if you sign up to an account. I don't know much about the computers. The point is, there's just so much more stuff out there nowadays than there was in 1975. Obviously, they didn't have the internet back then. Obviously, nobody had a phone. I mean, not a phone that you could, go on the internet, and ask them, where the closest weed store is. But, it's everywhere now. So they got to compete against that. So that's why I said before, when you watch an episode of Saturday Night Live, you just hope that there's at least one sketch that just stands out and makes you laugh, and it's funny, and worst case, like I said, you can catch it the next day on YouTube or download it somewhere, I don't know, where streaming services, some computer shit, I don't know. The point is, it's everywhere, but it's still here on television. Yes, Saturday Night Live is still on actual television. A lot of people don't know that. They just assume it just, pops up the next day on YouTube. But yeah, if you are doing nothing on a Saturday night or recovering from Friday, just, you can stay in and watch the show. With commercials, yeah, it sucks, I get it. But YouTube has commercials too. Way more often now. I don't know. I mean, that's one advantage Saturday Night Live at least has. But yeah, Sure. Goulet. When I first started watching Saturday Night Live, I really didn't know about it till like the early 90s. See, I was born in 1982. And the '80s were good, sort of. I mean, like the music was a little off, and then it became popular again, and now it's really popular again. But yeah, like I mean, the cast I was used to was like guys like Sandler and Farley and Spade and Schneider and Mike Myers, and it was branded as like a very silly cast, but I loved it. I thought it was fucking hilarious. I mean, at the time I was in my early teens, whatever, and I don't know. I found fart sounds to be as good as the Oscars. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's just me. I love these dudes. I thought it was really funny. And then later on, I discovered the older shows and Eddie Murphy, and just all those people. And Saturday Night Live has had its ups and downs. There's times where it's really good, and then it's kind of struggling a bit, and then the actors haven't reached their full potential yet. Even a guy like Will Ferrell. I mean, Will Ferrell to me is one of the funniest cast members of all time. I believe one of the New York newspapers his first year on Saturday Night Live named him the worst newcomer of all time. Boy, were they wrong. But yeah, I mean, it's just an acquired taste, for certain cast members and skits, and it's my dick in a box. Whatever floats your boat, it doesn't matter as long as it makes you laugh. And that's the hardest part about doing a show like this, is just finding people and writers and coming up with ideas almost every single week. Nowadays, I think it's every almost 2-3 weeks, but just to make people laugh. And it's tough, I mean, back in the day, I could name every single cast member. Nowadays, it's like, and again, I'm not dissing the cast that's there now. It's just, there's so much content out there with YouTube. I mean, it's hard to keep track of all these people, So I like to go over the recent cast, if you don't mind, guys. For the two people listening to this, let's do it. So the first guy is Beck Bennett. Now, this guy's been on Saturday Night Live ever since 2013. I think the biggest thing this guy's probably known for now is just doing Putin. He kind of looks like your everyday sort of guy, Haven't seen him in many movies, but he's got a good presence on Saturday Night Live. Adie Bryant. I hope I said that right. I'm just assuming Aid Y Bryant. Okay. She's funny. I'll tell you one thing, especially now with the cast. It reminds me a lot of the early mid thousands cast, where the women are just clearly dominating. I mean, I like, again, no disrespect to the guys or nothing, but it's like when Tina Fey and Amy Poehler were kind of taking over that whole thing, and they're definitely kicking ass. So yeah. Michael Che, he does the news. Funny guy. I heard of him a little bit before Saturday Night Live, but obviously he's more known for doing the news. Pete Davidson. Pretty much everybody knows Pete Davidson at this point. I don't know. I mean, there's episodes where, he's hilarious. There's episodes where he doesn't show up. And then people worry about him, and, I hope the dude's all right. The guy's, lived quite a life so far. I mean, his resume of women alone, thumbs up, dude. The point is, I think this guy is always his funniest when he does shit on the news. Like, it's just he's by himself. He's doing stand-up. Chris Rock was known as, or just for doing the same shit. I mean, Chris Rock, you can't really name a lot of popular sketches he was in. I mean, he did the... I don't know, he hosted some show with where he wore a fro or something. I don't know, but it was funny. I mean, when you get comedians just doing their thing for whatever, 5 minutes, whatever, that's when they shine the most. So, it's cool. Mikey Day shows up in a lot of skits. Again, kind of similar to Beck Bennett. Just kind of your average-looking Joe. He's cool. Leslie Jones, she has a very, very strong presence. Yeah, she's hard to miss for sure. She's very funny. Colin Jost. He's known for two things: doing the news on Saturday Night Live and being engaged to Scarlett Johansson. I just hope it lasts longer than Ryan. Who is it? Gosling, the Ryan Seacrest. It was one of the Ryans. I don't know. That's born in Canada. Don't worry. Kate McKinnon. Now, in my opinion, this is no disrespect to anybody on this cast. She's by far the funniest person. It's not even close. Again, guys, no disrespect. She is the MVP of this show as we speak. She does a lot of characters. Yeah, don't hang on to her. Okay, if you got to pay her extra money, just make sure you hang on to her. You guys need it. Alex Moffat, again, funny guy. See, here's the problem so far. I'm going to cut this off. Okay, I'm just saying, like, okay, so how do I say this? Like, the cast, a lot of these dudes, they almost look like models. Okay, now, again, I'm not dissing Sandler and Spade and all the boys there. They weren't, like a lot of these guys you're not going to see on magazine covers. I'm just being honest with you. Okay, now it seems like they're going for more of a prettier cast over the years. This is one of the reasons why I never found Dane Cook that funny. Is you can't laugh at a guy who is clean cut, good looking. You can't do it. I don't know. It's hard to do. That's all. Just saying. I'm just putting that out there. Kyle Mooney, very funny. He usually teams up with Beck there. They did some kind of digital shorts for a while. I don't know. They don't do it as often though. I don't know why. Celie Ledger Strong. She's very pretty. I like her. She's very funny. Again, this is more proof that the women are kicking more ass. Kenan Thompson, welcome to Good Burger. Yeah, we all know that shit. Yeah, we'll forgive him for the Cosby movie, whatever. It's, paycheck's a paycheck. I get it. Yeah, I mean, again, he's been on there forever. And, he goes on there, does his thing. That's it. That's it. It's a good job. I mean, why would you leave? I wouldn't leave either. Melissa Villaseñor, I hope I said that right. She's very funny. Then they got some featured players here. Heidi Gardner, Ego Woodham, I hope I said that right. And Chris Red, yeah, with two Ds. Yep. And they also have Shane Gillis. Oh, no, they don't. Oh, they fired him. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, they... Like, how bad is that? I mean, especially in this day and age when, like, you get a job and, you're so happy you get the job, especially a job like Saturday Night Live, it's cool, you work your ass off all these years. And then some asshole goes online and says, "Oh, this person said this is racist," and then they fire him. I feel for this guy. I really do. And, again, Lauren Michaels, I love you, man. I would have kept him on. Honestly. I mean, listen, let's just be honest, okay? I love John Belushi, okay? Did I think in real life he was a samurai? No. Was he making fun of the culture? Absolutely. Was it fucking hilarious? Absolutely. And again, you could say, oh, it was a different time or whatever. I don't know. I remember Chevy Chase saying the N-word when Richard Pryor hosted. I mean, I'm just, again, it was a different time. I get it. But you know what? I saw Zach Galifianakis, and I'm gonna feel bad later on because I'm half Greek and I mispronounced that. Fuck it, who cares? The point is, he did some skit I remember, and he was doing some kind of racial thing about the Indians or natives or whatever. Again, half the audience, hey, half the audience, oh, like it's comedy. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm not saying you can say whatever you want in comedy and get away with it. But don't give the guy the job and then fire him after. Like, do your research on every single person, And we got the internet at our, we got access to everything, man. Like, we're gonna do research on everybody and then like decide, okay, maybe we shouldn't take a chance, But I don't know. All I'm gonna say is this: I feel for this guy. I hope he still gets work. Yeah, all I'm saying is in the future, please, and this is just, not even just Saturday Night Live, just for anybody, please don't give someone a job and then later on find out shit about them, because in the end, it makes you look bad, because you hired them first and then later on it's like, whatever. It's like the same thing with Norm Macdonald. Norm Macdonald was awesome on the news. He was fucking awesome. And the way, they treated him and the way they fired him was complete bullshit. Okay? I mean, there was a time, during that period, honestly, Saturday Night Live was not that good. I mean, Farrell wasn't Farrell yet, you know what I mean? And it just wasn't that good. And, people would just tune in for the news, I know I would. And Norm Macdonald was hilarious. And apparently he said too many OJ jokes and the one Don Allmeyer or whatever, was good friends with OJ, which is nothing to be proud of. And, he didn't like the way Norm Macdonald would always rip on him, because he was the only person at the time ripping on OJ. And, he fired him, And even at the time, Dirty Work came out, which is an excellent, excellent movie, okay? Farley's last movie, he was excellent in that, steals every scene. Anyways, and they wouldn't even promote it on NBC. But then, a couple years later, what happens? They get Norm Macdonald to host again, Saturday Night Live. And he did this joke at the end where he said, listen, I thought for years I wasn't funny, whatever. And, I found out I'm still not funny. It's the show that's gotten awful. I mean, they have these sketches that, well you'll see later. But anyways, that's fucking hilarious. I mean, but I mean, that's just the thing. I mean, again, with the hosts as well. I get it. You want to get people that are popular, during the time, or if they're there to promote a movie. I get it. But let's stop getting these flavors of the month. Let's start getting people that are actually funny, people that are actual comedians, even if you don't know them as well. If you bring them to Saturday Night Live and they kill it, if they're really funny, it's going to show on there anyway. Okay? I've noticed over the last couple of years, they've stopped having sports figures. Good move. I never thought of Michael Phelps as a comedian. But I'll say this. Charles Barkley is welcome there anytime. And just, find people that are funny, Like every time Will Ferrell hosts, Melissa McCartney, every time those two people host, it is literally like Christmas. It was so funny, a couple weeks before she hosted one time. People always, the beginning of the show, they announce all the people, the side characters there, the musical guests, and then the host, and then they, they have the pan shot of the clock there or whatever, and then they show the door. And I always thought to myself, like, why don't more people do something funny when they come out of that door? And a few weeks later, Melissa McCartney hosted, and there was something wrong. I mean, she was pretending to have something wrong with her feet, and she was like slowly walking down the stairs, and it was fucking hilarious, And I'm like, yes, like that's what you do, I mean, going to Second City, which a lot of these cast members came from, especially the Not Ready for Primetime cast, in Chicago. You learn like everything around you, like make it funny. You know, I mean, a lot of times you're just on stage by yourself, but even just imagine that there's something there and just like create something funny out of it. So to make something funny, like out of like opening a door, I mean, that's awesome. I mean, just like little things like that, I love. So, listen, Saturday Night Live is not going to slow down anytime soon. They're just going to keep going and going and going and going. There's going to be ups, it's going to be downs, it's going to be funny, it's going to be not funny sometimes. It is what it is. But I will say this, though. One thing I was not very happy with, and this happened a couple years ago when, they were reviewing Saturday Night Live and Rolling Stone. They were just basically named every single cast member from the beginning, and they ranked them from worst to best. And you know what? I'm going to spend the next half hour or so here just talking about it. Because, again, what the fuck else do I have to do? Nothing. So, it says here, the worst cast member of all time was Robert Downey Jr. Now, again, can we really say he's the worst cast member of all time? I mean, ever since Iron Man, he had a resurgence in his career, and he's always kicked ass. It's just one of those things where, had a slow point for a while there, and then he's kicking ass again. But, I mean, this is just a move to say, oh, yeah, we're putting Robert Downey Jr. as the worst guy to get attention. I was like, shut up. Fuck off. I mean, was he really that bad? I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, yeah, look, the point is, the talent on Saturday Night Live, sometimes it doesn't always show, and a lot of these people, they leave after Saturday Night Live and, they do way better. I mean, I just don't think he was the worst cast member of all time. Who do I think was the worst cast member of all time? That's none of your fucking business. The point is, this was just a move to get fucking paper sold. That's it. Boom. And then they got next the Muppets. For those of you who are younger and listening to this, that aren't listening to the Joe Rogan podcast, basically, at one point the Muppets were very popular. Kermit and all those dudes and dudettes, and it was part of the show at one point, and a lot of people thought it just wasn't that funny. It was okay. I mean, there was moments where it's funny and not funny, and whatever. Next person, Jim Breuer. Now, I completely disagree with this. In my eyes, Jim Breuer deserves to be in the Saturday Night Live Hall of Fame simply because I remember late, and when this first aired, he would do a sketch called The Joe Pesci Show. Now, it was a over-exaggerated impersonation of Joe Pesci. Okay, we all know that. It was still funny. I liked it. And then the skit was about to end, and I was about to turn the channel, and then all of a sudden, Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci, the real guys, show up in the sketch, and everyone's just going nuts. I mean, it was hilarious. If you got a chance, check it out. I don't know if it's on YouTube or wherever. Just Google it. It's funny, And he would do Goat Boy. I always loved that character. And he said he was just inspired one day. He would just get high and go to the zoo and just laugh at the goats, just that's how he came up with the idea. And I think Jim Breuer is fucking hilarious. And not just in general, he was funny on Saturday Night Live. So I don't understand. I mean, even Rolling Stone said, "This asshole again." Really? I don't know. Again, and this is the one thing I learned about this business, especially going to Second City and all that, is that you learn that there's certain people that didn't make it in life, and they're all fucking bitter and shit, and I don't know, who knows, maybe they're jealous of Jim Breuer being on Saturday Night Live, who knows, but Jim, you're here this one day, man, you were fucking hilarious, and his stand-up is really funny too, so there you go. Victoria Jackson. I remember her in the early 90s there. I mean, I'll be honest, I can't name a lot of sketches she was in. She always show up on the news and do kind of a dance or something. I think a lot of it was just based on her looks. Again, I'm not trying to sound sexist here or nothing like that. It's just, and she had a very like soft baby voice and all that, and yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you though. I've done her some research on her in the recent years, and let's just say, yeah, I don't agree with a lot of the shit she's saying about certain people. Yeah, you can do your research yourself there. Gilbert Godfrey, again, see, this is a perfect example of a really funny guy. It just, I don't know, he didn't really shine on Saturday Night Live. I don't know, they didn't give him a lot of shit. I mean, he was literally on there for 1 year. That's it. Like, I always forget that. I mean, he was on there, I think, right in the beginning where, yeah, part of that new crew, whatever. And, yeah, I can't name one thing that he did on there. It was funny, he was on Howard Stern one day, and he said one skit it was like a funeral or something, and he was the body laying in the casket. He didn't say any lines. They just needed a body for him to lie for just lie in the casket. I mean, like, it's like they could have hired like any extra to do it. Like, he just did it. So it's like, listen, any exposure is great. Even if you're dead, it doesn't matter. But yeah, I mean, to me, he's one of the funniest stand-ups of all time. Yeah, so, I mean, he's going to be known for Saturday Night Live? Probably not. Colin Quinn, again, another example. Great comedian, fucking hilarious. He took over Weekend Update after Norm Macdonald got fired, and I'm not gonna lie to you, man. It just wasn't good. I mean, like, he did a lot of jokes that would just die. It just didn't work, man. It really didn't. But it's, like, I mean, like I said, Colin Quinn's a really funny stand-up comedian, but see, that's the problem with a lot of sketch comedies. Like, you could have a really funny guy or woman or a Muppet. And, will it translate on TV? Will it translate, on, if you're reading a script? Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So, and next is Norm Macdonald. Now, again, a lot of people didn't like Norm Macdonald. A lot of people love Norm Macdonald. I absolutely love Norm Macdonald. I did a whole podcast on him. Please feel free to check that out when you have no time in your life. And yeah, I don't agree with this. I mean, I like, even Chevy Chase said, and a lot of people don't like him either, but Chevy Chase even said that the only person that did the news right after him was Norm Macdonald. And I agree. I mean, there were funny people after that, of course, but I don't know, Norm's, sarcasm, and he just didn't give a fuck. I mean, like, there were times he would have that, like, the pile of paper. He would never look at the paper. Like, he would just shuffle it after every joke and just look straight into the camera. And then there'd be times where he'd be like, he'd have a tape recorder in his pocket, like, note to self, and he would just make a joke there or whatever. And he just didn't give a fuck. I mean, and that's clearly what he's always going to be known for. I think one skit he dressed up as a carrot or something. But, on Weekend Update, he absolutely killed it, in my opinion. So he should definitely be higher on this list. Randy Quaid. Now, I'll be honest with you. I always forget Randy Quaid was on Saturday Night Live, okay? What do we know Randy Quaid for? The Christmas Vacation movie. And, that's, and the other 3 movies. Was he in the other 3? I'm pretty sure he was. And, yeah, but, I mean, Christmas Vacation, he absolutely killed it. What did he do on Saturday Night Live? That was I don't know. I don't remember. Again, I was born in '82, so maybe that's part of it. But yeah, again, he was only on here for 1 year, and yeah, okay. Then they got here the one-offs, they call it, Laurie Metcalf and Emily Prager. This is a shock to me because I didn't even know Laurie Metcalf was on SNL. I had no idea. Obviously, Laurie Metcalf will always be known for Roseanne and the new version, The Connors. And she's an awesome actress. I've always liked her. Again, I can't name one thing she did on Saturday Night Live. Same thing with Emily Prager. I got nothing, guys. Jay Moore, he was on there for a couple years. The biggest thing I remember him doing, he did like a weird Christopher Walken impersonation and something about Skittles, and I don't know, Again, a lot of these guys, they're just, it's weird with a lot of these guys. I mean, again, maybe the comedy doesn't translate or something, How hard is it to do a Christopher Walken? It's not easy. Skittles. The Temps. Matthew Lawrence, Patrick Weathers, and Yvonne Hudson. I don't even recognize these people. You see, again, like each one of these people were on for a year. Maybe they're on for a couple skits here and there. That's it. Charles Rocket. Okay, so this is the guy I was talking about before that swore at the end of the show. That's probably the biggest thing he's known for. I mean, was he the first person ever sworn on Saturday Night Live? Probably. Listen, Lauren says don't swear. Okay? You do what the boss says. Okay? If he tells you not to swear, you don't fucking swear. It's that simple. Tony Risotto. He sort of looks familiar, but I don't know. See, again, like this early 80s cast, I mean, nobody knew who the fuck these people were. I mean, that's how, unsuccessful this cast was. And again, it's no disrespect. It just, I don't know, Lauren left and these new people came in and nobody knew who the fuck these people were and they didn't know what to do with them. And, And this is more 80s rejects. Oh, well, that's nice, Rolling Stone. Okay. Dan Vitale and Ben Stiller. Dan Vitale, he was only on there for 1 year. Ben Stiller, again, I didn't even know he was on Saturday Night Live. He was on there for 1 year. I'm pretty sure Ben Stiller was okay after that. Okay, just go see Tropic Thunder. Tell me you don't laugh your ass off. 80s ladies, Christine Ebersol, and Risley and Robin Duke. Now, I do recognize these ladies. I don't remember a lot of the skits they were in. Again, I was born in 82, guys. Forgive me. I do apologize. Again, it's a weird thing with Saturday Night Live. I mean, you get these people in there and, you feel bad for a lot of these people. Like, honestly, I mean, like, it's a very competitive, show. I mean, a lot of times, like, you depend on the writers and you hope, and if you're an actor there, you're like, write me something funny. And sometimes they don't, sometimes they do. I don't know, get my sawbuck. I don't know, whatever. But, and it's just some people, they don't really come out with that big character, so, do you mind? I'm recording a podcast. Thank you. It's a good time to record this during rush hour. Anyways, it says The Guy, 2 Ks. Okay. Jerry Minor, Rob Riggle, Finesse Mitchell, Jeff Richards, Paul Breton, and Dean Edwards. Again, it's the same thing. A lot of these guys, I mean, they're in there for a couple skits here and there. Nothing really, big stands out, I guess. I don't know. Who was it? Paul Breton there? I believe this guy got fired halfway during his first season. And again, I don't know what happened there. Maybe they weren't happy with him. He wasn't happy. I don't know. Who knows? But again, a lot of these guys, they just, Damon Wayans. Now, he was on there for 1 year. Clearly, In Living Color was awesome. I mean, we all know that. He made his mark with that. Movies, TV shows. You know, him and his brothers always kicked ass, for sure. But I heard what happened was he did a sketch and he improv'd a lot of it, and Lorne Michaels didn't like it, so he didn't last after that. So there you go. And that's one thing. Another thing Lorne Michaels does not like: don't swear and don't improv. Stick to the script. And yeah, you know, if you don't stick to the script, you're gonna end up doing your own show and having a huge hit on your hands. Michael O'Donnell. This guy's awesome. This guy is always one of the most underrated people that was ever a part of Saturday Night Live. Great writer. Like I said before, he was in the very first sketch, right in the beginning of Saturday Night Live. Part of that whole not ready for primetime cast. This guy was awesome. Just excellent. Anthony Michael Hall. Again, you know, when Lorne came back, he wanted to hire, you know, the whole young cast there. So he got Anthony Michael Hall, Robert Downey Jr., and it just, I don't know, it just didn't work, I guess. I don't know. Again, listen, Anthony Michael Hall, we're always going to love you for being the nerd in The Breakfast Club, you know, and the bad guy in Edward Scissorhands. So, you know, don't worry about it, man. Siobhan Fallon. Sorry if I'm saying that wrong. I slightly remember her on Saturday Night Live a little bit. Says there she was on for only 1 year. In her sole season, she snagged a 3-second close-up in the credits. Times 20 episodes. That's a solid minute. Oh, wow. Jeez. Oh, Rolling Stone's not holding back, eh? Fuck. Anyways, the 90s one-shots. Nancy Walls, David Koechner, Laura Neitlinger, Morwenna Banks, Fred Wolf, and Malene Hutzel. Now, all these people are funny, and again, they're, you know, again, it's weird with Saturday Night Live. Sometimes you just, you know, you're not known for a character. You just go in there, you do a quick little funny, and a lot of these people did have success after Saturday Night Live, of course. Look up Fred Wolf alone. That guy has done a lot of writing. You know, they're all funny. Mark McKinney. Now, I just mentioned Kids in the Hall. This is probably when Kids in the Hall just ended, I think. Yeah, because it was on for, what, 4 or 5 years, something like that. And, of course, you know, Lorne Michaels is like, hey, why don't you join our show? Boom, why not? So, again, you know, he's more known for his characters on Kids in the Hall, but, you know, he was definitely funny in this as well. Chris Elliott. See, I thought Chris Elliott was on Saturday Night Live for a lot longer. It only says here he was on for 1 year. You know who Chris Elliott is? Either one of two things you know him for. Either Cabin Boy, or you know him for the dude, that guy had all the acne or pimples or whatever the fuck it was on There's Something About Mary. Yeah, very funny guy. I always liked him. He's funny on the show Schitt's Creek as well. Yeah. Oh. Ladies and gentlemen, I think I just heard a crash outside my place. Can you give me 1 second, please? Thank you. Live from East York, it's Crashing Cars Live. You never know what's going to happen, folks, during a live podcast. But anyways, they seem to be okay. Don't worry about it. This moment is being brought to you by Colon Blow. Anyways, Janine Garofalo. I always liked her. I always thought she was very cute. Yeah, again, see, a lot of these people, like, you remember them for being on Saturday Night Live for a lot longer. Again, she was only on there for like a year. So, I don't know. Same thing with Sarah Silverman. She was really young when she was on there. I think she was only like 20 or 21 or something like that. Again, just on for a year. I don't know. It seems like these people were on for a lot longer. The Nitra Vance, again, only 1 year. That's it. Yeah. George Coe, C-O-E. He's on there for 1 year. Yeah. Bobby Monahan. Okay. He left a couple years ago. This guy was almost like let's say if like John Belushi was like more of a very squeaky clean version. That's probably Bobby, I guess. I mean, the biggest thing he'll be known for is Drunk Uncle, and those you can see all of them on what do you call it? YouTube. Yeah, so check those out. Those always made me laugh. He seems like a nice guy. Gary. Jeez. Gary Kruger. I sort of remember this guy. I mean, but again, it was during that whole 80s thing. Yeah. Brian Dole Murphy. Okay. Doyle. What did I say? Anyways, yes. We all know he's Bill Murray's brother. We all know he killed it in Caddyshack. Both him and his brother killed it. We all know that. Very funny in Wayne's World as well. He blows goats. I have proof. Yeah, like again, I totally forgot he was on Saturday Night Live. I mean, all these dudes are funny. You just forget. I don't know. The Zimmermans, the what? Sherry O'Terry and Chris Kattan. Okay. I always liked Sherry O'Terry. I'll be honest with you. I'm surprised she didn't have a bigger career after Saturday Night Live. I remember seeing her in Scary Movie, and then, yeah, that's pretty much it. And then Chris Kattan, he did the Night at the Roxbury guys with Will Ferrell, and he did the monkey there, whatever. Him and I forgot if I told the story on the Norm Macdonald podcast, but yeah, I mean, basically, I don't know, him and Norm Macdonald didn't get along very well, and I don't know, Norm always thought he was gay, and yeah, it was a whole thing back and forth there, and Chris Kattan was bugging him before a sketch, whatever, and basically Norm Macdonald, he knew what he was doing. And he, like right before the sketch would air, it's like 10 seconds, and he say something like, I can't believe it, Chris Kattan, you're not gay. I mean, I mean, you act so gay. I don't understand. 5 seconds. I don't get it. I mean, don't you think he's gay, everybody? And we're on. Imagine if you will. And they went into a whole Twilight Zone sketch, whatever. And then Jim Breuer told that story on Howard Stern. And if you look at the sketch carefully, you can see Jim Breuer has his back turned towards the audience. And he's trying to hold the laughter. So, I mean, again, a lot of funny shit. I mean, like again, when you work with people, in this business, you either love them or you don't, But the show must go on, I guess. Joan Cusack, again, I had no idea she was on Saturday Night Live. Yeah, she's funny. I always liked her in a bunch of movies. School of Rock, she was great. Yeah, I didn't know she was on Saturday Night Live. And it says, at the time, this was written, the New Kids. So at this time, a couple years ago, they added Noah Wells, Beck Bennett, Tim Robinson, Michael Che. Yeah. I know I mentioned a lot of these people before. I don't know. I don't know how to edit. Mike O'Brien, Kyle Mooney, Leslie Jones, Colin Jost, John Milhisser, Sashir Zamata. There you go. Pete Davidson, A.D. Bryant, John Rudnitsky, Mikey Day, Alex Moffat, and Melissa Villasneur. So, you got a lot of these people. They're still trying to prove themselves. I think a lot of us just tune in nowadays just to see if Pete Davidson is still there. Yeah. Again, they got skits. They're funny. Some of them aren't. It is what it is, guys. What are you gonna do? Abby Elliott, which is the daughter of Chris Elliott. She was on there for a little bit. Actually, no, she was on there for 4 years. Yeah, she was funny. Whitney Brown. I remember this guy. Okay. Untapped Talent. Michael Keenan and Harry Shearer. Now, we all knew who Harry Shearer is, okay? We all watched The Simpsons at one point. We all watched Spinal Tap. We know who these guys are, and they were funny on Saturday Night Live too, But this is like during that period where, again, like a lot of these dudes, they just excel afterwards. Like Michael McKeenan, he absolutely kills it on Better Call Saul. And that's what I like to see sometimes, because a lot of people think, okay, you know what, he's a funny guy. Can he do dramatic roles? Yes, they can. Okay, just because you're known for more of the funnier parts in life, it doesn't mean you can't do the serious parts. And Harry Shearer, veteran at this. Both these guys are veterans. I'm just saying with Harry Shearer, I mean, he's got that Simpson money. He's good. And, he did that classic skit with him and Martin Short, the Synchronized Swimmers there. If you ever had a chance, check that out. Julia Sweeney, I always liked her. Again, it was part of that time when I first discovered Saturday Night Live. Again, I wasn't a big fan of Pat. I don't know, maybe because that's what I looked like at the time. But it just, I don't know, I found like certain characters, again, like when you do a character in Saturday Night Live, like you hope it just catches on. But at the same time, it can be a curse because like you do it once and it's really funny. And then, you do it like 10 times after that. It's just not as funny. You know what I mean? It's like with Chris Farley and, the motivational speaker. The first one is absolute classic. It's like one of the best skits on Saturday Night Live ever. But they did it a couple times after that. It's the same shit. I mean, like we get it. You know what I mean? We get it. You're not gonna mount to jack squat. Oh, Jenny Slate. Again, I could have sworn she was on there for way longer, but I remember her. She was very funny. Only 1 year. I wonder. I don't know. Like some of these people, you just wonder what happened. I don't know. Gail Mathias. Hyas. There we go. There for 1 year. I'll be honest, I don't really remember her. I'm sorry. Again, it was during that early 80s period. Brooks Whelan. The funniest thing about this guy is that, he was on there for 1 year. I don't think anybody really remembers him. They did a sketch making fun of Family Feud, whatever. He was on the panel, and he played himself. And he said, I'm just here, a lot of people don't know who I am, So this guy's just making fun of himself, I thought that was funny. Jim Belushi, obviously the brother of John Belushi. I don't remember a lot of things he did on Saturday Night Live. Again, I was just a baby. I saw a movie recently he was in with Demi Moore and About Last Night. Okay. He was funny in that. Not saying he wasn't funny on Saturday Night Live. I'm just saying I just saw that, I thought it was funny. I don't remember a lot what he did on here. I know according to Jim, he probably made a good amount of money there. He's more known for TV shows and Movies. I mean, I remember him more in Trading Places, you know. But anyways, Casey Wilson. Yes, I remember her. I always liked her. I always thought she was very pretty. Again, funny. Only on there for 1 year. There was a weird rumor that she got fired because they felt she was too fat or something like that. I think that's bullshit, but I don't think that's the case. I mean, but anyways, she's really funny. She's done a couple shows since then. Check her out. Rich Hall, sort of looks familiar. Yeah, I was only on it for 1 year. I don't really remember her. Him, sorry. Ellen Cleghorn, her I remember. She was very funny. Michaela Watkins, she was funny too. See, again, like I don't know, like all these people, like you feel they're on here for longer, and then just a year. Brad Hall, I remember he did the news there. He was on there for a couple of years. Joe Piscopo. Okay, so basically it was him and Eddie Murphy that kept this boat afloat. There's a classic skit that he did with Eddie Murphy where he's Frank Sinatra, he's Stevie Wonder, and they're just trying to remake a song, whatever. Check it out when you got a chance. But Joe Piscopo was, you know, he was funny. I liked him. I don't know, I heard this weird thing where he gave up acting to lift weights or some shit. I don't know, whatever. But I don't think that's true. But I don't know. The two Nancys, Terry Sweeney and Mary Gross. They were part of the whole 80s crew there. I thought they were both pretty funny. Tom Davis, half of the team, Frank and Davis, of course. They would do their little short skits there. And yeah, just check out anything those two guys did together. It was always funny. Beth Cahill, I don't really remember her. She's only on there for 1 year. Yeah, I'm sorry. Again, you gotta forgive me, guys. I mean, you know, I can't remember all these people. I just can't. It's not gonna happen. I'm sorry. Which is another thing too, by the way. I think if you ask, you know, people out there, like, you know, name me 5 current cast members on Saturday Night Live, I don't think they can do it. Anyways, Garrett Morris. Now, part of the Not Ready for Primetime cast. Very funny guy. The funny skit he did, though, was when he was playing an inmate and he just sang the song. You know what? I can't do it justice. Just look it up. Trust me. It's funny. And he did play the first Ant-Man. So keep that in mind. Nora Dunn, very funny. Very strong presence about her. I always liked her. When Lauren came back, yeah, she was definitely a key piece of that puzzle. Same thing. Kevin Nealon, same thing. He was on there for 9 seasons. He did Weekend Update. He always did the great character I like when, I don't know, like he'd go on a date or something and he'd be talking to a girl and he's like, yeah, so if you're not doing anything later, hot sex. And if you just like to come to my place, hot sex, you know, we could just sit back and hot sex. And sorry, I can't do it justice, but yeah, very, very funny guy. Always liked him. Horatio Sands, he might be my brother. I'm not sure. But yeah, funny guy. I liked him. Him and Fallon, I think they would just have a laughing contest in skits. But anyways, I always liked if Fallon did the one skit, the web episodes or something about a stoner or something, and then he'd come on there and be funny, and yeah, he's always good for a laugh. I mean, sometimes he'd just be in a skit and would just say one line and it was funny. So, Denny Dillon, I don't remember her. Sorry. She's on there for 1 year. See, again, this early 80s cast is cursed, I'm telling you. Anyways, Paul Schaefer. Okay, I didn't know he was considered a cast member of Saturday Night Live. I mean, he played, obviously, he was part of the music on Saturday Night Live for those first 5 years. Later on, he He got some job with some guy named what was it, David Letterman or something. Yeah. So I think everything worked out fine. He too actually accidentally said the word fuck. Okay, so maybe he was the first one. Yep. No. Yep. He was. Okay. Um, yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I'm seeing a picture from him back then. I get it. Long hair was in. Definitely, he made the right decision with the whole bald. It's yeah, much better. Jay Farrow. Okay. He was on there for a bit. Did a lot of impersonations. You can go on YouTube right now, and he does a ton of impersonations of people. The thing that always stands out with him is when he did Denzel Washington. I think the very first episode he was on, he did an episode or skit, whatever, and it was just basically Denzel Washington as he was in Training Day, and he just absolutely nails it. I mean, I think that's his best impersonation for sure. Yeah, I mean, he does everybody, so definitely check that out. I'm surprised he left a little earlier than maybe he should have. I don't know. Maybe he should stay on there for a little bit. And he did a show with the same guy who did Californication, and I always feel they should have did one more season of Californication. Instead, they did a show called White Famous and starred him. It was only for one season. Honestly, it wasn't that good. I mean, it just, we do need another guy like Jay Farrell on the show. So, just saying. Well, they got Lorne Michaels here. Yeah, again, he's not an official cast member. He would show up in skits. Like I said before, he just show up time to time, whatever. And yeah, he's the Godfather. He is Obi-Wan Kenobi, as Tracy Morgan would describe him. Yeah, he started it all, man. Yeah, it's thank you. Speaking of which, Tracy Morgan. Yeah, Tracy Morgan, he was funny on here. I think he shined more after, being on 30 Rock and that one show he did on NBC. I don't know, it was too cookie cutter. I didn't like that shit. I don't even know what it was called. But yeah, he was funny on Saturday Night Live. He did the character, was it Brian Fellows? I like that space. I don't even know what it's called. I don't know. Like he was a spaceman or something, and then one of the white girl hosts would come on there, and he would just say something about her white fat ass or something, and it was just funny. Like the skit made no sense, but it was just funny because it was just like it was like this huge buildup just for this one line, and yeah, it was funny. Will Forte. Now, Will Forte, I'm not gonna lie, he did the whole MacGruber thing, as I mentioned before. I think it was a funny movie. I liked it. I mean, it's kind of become a cult classic, I guess. I mean, is it Wayne's World? No. Is it Blues Brothers? No. But it's still funny. But Will Forte was on there for 8 years, and he was hilarious. Like he would always do. I don't know. He would always either say something fucked up or dance or the potato chip sketch with him and I believe Sudeikis was really funny. So just Google that. He's the type of guy that you want on Saturday Night Live. Like he can, yeah, he can do a lot of things. So he definitely shined the most on that show. Pamela Stephenson, I don't remember her. She was on there for 1 year, between 84, 85. I don't remember her. Yeah. Much of Stephenson's humor involved her breasts. She quit showbiz to become a sex psychologist. Okay. Stay tuned for that one, guys. I gotta do more research on that one. Okay. Wow, really? Shit. Okay, anyways, Nasim Pedrad. Okay, I hope I said that right. She was really funny. Yeah, she was on there for quite a bit. She did a funny sketch with, I remember Drake hosted. She did this she played this kid or something and that was lost in an amusement park or something. I forgot what it was called, but she was really funny. Daryl Hammond. He was on there for 14 years, man. Yeah. Yeah. Daryl Hammond, I will always love. Why? Because of good old Sean Connery, aka Celebrity Jeopardy. I mean, if you ever watch a Celebrity Jeopardy, you will laugh your ass off. I mean, him and Farrell apparently came up with it. Daryl Hammond, I always felt, kind of took over the whole Phil Hartman essence. You know, I mean, he could do a lot of voices. He had a good voice himself. Just a very funny guy, man. And a lot of people know that Pardo was the original voice of Saturday Night Live, the voice of Saturday Night Live, and he did it ever since the beginning. And just a couple years ago, he passed away. Rest in peace. And Daryl Hammond is now taking those reins. He is the new voice of Saturday Night Live, and he did come back in the 40th special there, or 40th season episode there. And he came back, and yes, he did Sean Connery in Celebrity Jeopardy again. But he hasn't done it since, man. And Will Ferrell hosted recently, and oh man, I was just hoping for that again. But you know, come on, man, bring it back. Like every time Ferrell hosts, I mean, you guys gotta do it. Come on. I mean, just come on, please, pretty please. Tim Meadows. I always thought Tim Meadows was a very funny guy. By far, the character that he'll always be known for is the ladies' man. The movie, is all right. It's actually taped in my area. If you guys know the Danforth area in Toronto, good old East York. What's up? And there's a little bar just outside of Greenwood Station. You can see the bus going by in one scene there. Yeah, they always tape stuff there. It's cool. But yeah, the skit was awesome. I loved it. You know, we got my Cavatier right here. And yeah, he's a really funny guy. I mean, he's one of these guys like he'll just show up in even shit nowadays. Like even in Walk Hard, like he's having the whole speech there, you know, about marijuana. It's totally non-addictive. I'm gonna trust him on that one. Jane Curtin, again, part of the whole not ready for primetime cast. Very funny. Always had a very, again, very just strong presence about her. She did the news. I always liked her. She was really, really funny. Kenan Thompson. Yeah, like I said, he's definitely the longest cast member now. Yeah, man. Listen, again, when you find a job in this business, don't go anywhere. Fuck it. I mean, a lot of people go on Saturday Night Live for a bit, and then they could be a big star, and then they fucking disappear and do nothing. And again, I'm not saying Kenan Thompson can't do that. I'm just saying, why would you? You know? And now he's doing Black Jeopardy. So there you go. I love it. Julia Louis-Dreyfus. She was on Saturday Night Live again during that whole early 80s thing. I don't really remember what she did. She made out with that one dude when they were making fun of Donnie and Marie there. I don't know. She did Seinfeld. She's fine. Don't worry about it. Rob Schneider. I love Rob Schneider. A lot of people always make fun of him. I don't know why. If you look at Sandler's success, especially in the 90s, Schneider always had that one role in those movies that always killed it. And again, I know I'm getting sidetracked here. You know, we're talking about Saturday Night Live, but even Saturday Night Live, I mean, he always had a really good, strong presence. You know, I like that one skit that all the guys did where they're all just, I don't know, playing pervert Italian waiters there. It was just funny. I mean, he's just a funny guy. I love him. Fuck you guys. I love him. Vanessa Bayer, very funny. Always liked her. She has such a beautiful smile. Yes, I like her. Don Novello. Okay, now, for those of you who are, You probably won't remember who this guy is, but he was in there for a little bit in the 70s, 80s there a little bit. This is a dude who basically dressed up and he played a character called Father Guido Seduci. Again, I'm Italian. I'm fuck, I'm gonna get some shit for this. I don't care. And he basically just played a priest. Hold on with the jokes. And it was just like this guy. He just didn't give a shit. It was almost like a gangster type priest, and and back then you could smoke on the dais. Nobody gave a shit. Of course, Dave Chappelle did it a couple of weeks ago, but whatever. He's Dave Chappelle. The point is, it was a funny character. I liked it. He also appeared in one episode of Married with Children. I remember. Funny guy. Taran Killam. Yes. Again, very funny guy. Left Saturday Night Live a couple years ago. He wanted to do his own movie there. They gave him the choice: you do your movie or leave Saturday Night Live. He's like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna do my movie." Okay. The movie is called Kill Gunther. Now, the movie itself is funny. The last half hour is hilarious. Okay. Spoiler alert: the bad guy that they're trying to get is Arnold Schwarzenegger. I thought he was fucking hilarious in it. But we're not here to talk about the movies. We're here to talk about Saturday Night Live. And again, this is a perfect example of a guy, okay? He was a go-to guy. He was in basically every skit that, in every episode he was in. He's just one of those dudes. He's always funny. Always very funny. He did one character, I remember, what were they doing? Making fun of like He-Man and Thundercats and all that, and all these toys coming to life. You got a chance, check it out. It's funny. But yeah, again, when you do a sketch show like this, you need a guy like that. And you absolutely need a person like this, Molly Shannon. Molly Shannon is probably one of my favorite actresses on Saturday Night Live of all time. Again, I loved the character she did, putting the hands under her pits and smelling them. I get it. But again, they did it too many times. Although, she was, again, I'm not trying to, whatever with women. I'm just saying in general, she was very physical. Like there's one skit she did, where she played that character, and I remember the whole set just fell apart. It was taped in a bathroom, and all this water's going all over the place, and she broke all the stalls and shit, and the movie was okay, whatever. Superstar, but yeah, just. I think she's really, really talented. I'm heard she's a sweetheart as well. So she's awesome. Cecilia Strong, I mentioned her before. She's very cool. Still on the show. Probably next to Kate McKinnon. She's probably the funniest person on the show. I'm just being honest, guys. I mean, again, guys, you gotta step it up, okay? Again, you're funny, but it's not. It's not there, guys. You gotta, yeah. We'll talk more about that later. Don Pardo, I mentioned before. The Voice, we miss you, man. It just, he created, the sound for Saturday Night Live, the announcing sound. It's that simple. Kate McKinnon, like I said. She's by far the funniest person on Saturday Night Live right now. They need her doing Justin Bieber, whoever the fuck she's making fun of. It's always funny. I personally like the skit where, I don't know, they interview 3 people, and it's got something to do with, I don't know, they're just being interviewed or something, and she's just sitting back there, with her legs uncrossed and just smoking a cigarette and just just telling it how it is. And there's one of them specifically, it was again one of the Ryans from Canada, and he's laughing his ass off in the skit. Everyone's just laughing because she's just so fucking funny. Again, I can't do it justice, but check it out when you get a chance. Jimmy Fallon. Boy, what happened to this guy? No, he was, apparently before he was a huge host and basically dominating late night TV, which, let's just be honest, guys. Again, I love Jimmy Fallon, okay? But nobody saw that coming, okay? Let's just be, and I just want to say this, okay? It sounds like I'm ripping on him. And again, I have to defend myself, okay? But I just want to say this. Here's my theory. The reason why Jimmy Fallon is so successful on late night is because, like, first of all, he's got a little bit of Carson in him. I can see that. But also, he's got this, like, kind of, like, child innocence, kind of, like, just having fun and just, wanting to get along with everybody kind of attitude. And I think in this generation of millennials and just in general of, like, TV and everyone just getting along, whatever, he's the perfect guy for it. And he has all these games and, it's just simple, like, little board games or, whatever. And he just brings, the funny out of anybody, and it's that essence that has really made him such a success, over the years as a late night talk show host. And, clearly Lorne Michaels saw that. And yeah, he's like the perfect fit for it, So I think that's really cool that, it's like a lot of people can be funny, but to, have everyone else like be funny around you and make, the people funny and make them, have a good time. And even like the audience watching, it's not easy to do. And Jimmy Fallon has absolutely nailed that aspect. Okay. A lot of you guys are going to say I'm kissing ass. Go fuck yourself. I don't care. But that's why Jimmy Fallon is such a success. And on Saturday Night Live, again, like I said, he literally laughed in every fucking skit. I mean, the whole Blue Oyster Cult there, the famous skit with Will Ferrell and his belly out. Yeah, I mean, he's just laughing his ass off. But again, who the fuck is not going to laugh at that? So you can't blame him. Like even Ferrell said when they did that sketch in the hot tub, the whole point was just to make Jimmy Fallon laugh, So, yeah. I always liked when he did Nick Burns. Like it was this character where he was like a computer nerd, and like he was just one of these, like every workplace has a person that they think they know everything, and sadly they do know everything, and like you don't want to ask them for help, but you have no choice but to ask them for help because they'll just rub in your face how stupid you are, and you'll be at a computer. It's like, oh dude, I don't understand this. Move, So I get it, man. I get it. I get the vision that was Lorne Michaels with Jimmy Fallon. I get it. And there you go. Chris Parnell. Let me just say this. A lot of people will not know who this guy is. Although if you're a fan of Rick and Morty, you will absolutely know who this guy is. But he was on Saturday Night Live for a bit. And I truly believe, in my opinion, that this guy is probably one of the most underrated people on Saturday Night Live. Like for a while, I remember like he was a cast member, then he was a writer, then he went back to being a cast member, then he was a writer again, and then back and forth back. Like he did a lot of shit. Okay, keep in mind that this guy was half the idea of Lazy Sunday with him and Andy Samberg. And that skit, let's just be honest, it basically, created the whole YouTube craze. I mean, that was the first clip I ever saw on YouTube. I heard about this skit and everyone's like, oh my God, just check this out. Where can I check it out? YouTube. I'm stupid. I just put you and then tube. I don't know. I didn't think people were still spelling then. And yeah, he's done a lot of funny shit. And I always thought he was the funniest guy on 30 Rock as the Doctor. I always thought he was really funny in that. He's also, he does a lot of voiceovers, like I said, for Rick and Morty. Also does the cartoon show Archer. One of the funny skits I always remembered him on Saturday Night Live was he'd do a thing on the news, and it'd be some woman singing, as the musical guest, whatever, and like he'd come up with this whole thing where like he was in love with her, and they had this awesome date, and like he would just like do this whole rap, and it was funny. I liked it. I thought it was funny. Check it out when you get a chance. Listen up, biatch! It's a West Side night and I'm feeling alright. Got Britney in my pants and my gin and Sprite. Word. Dennis Miller. How you doing, Cha-Cha? Listen, Dennis Miller, should he be on Monday Night Football? Absolutely not. But he was great on Boston Public. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Saturday Night Live. Saturday Night Live, I liked him as a newscaster. He was funny. Don't really remember a lot of the skits he was in, but he's a very funny guy. Very good presence. Anna Gas... shit, I always say his fucking name wrong. Anna Gasteiner. Gasteiner. Thank you. Oh... No one can resist my sweaty balls. That's a classic skit that she did with her and Molly Shannon and good old Alec Baldwin. She's very funny. I always liked her. She was part of that cast, in the late 90s. It took a while for people to catch on for a lot of these characters. Like I said, Ferrell wasn't Ferrell yet, and they were kind of just adjusting from, the whole, Adam Sandler cast saga there. A lot of people were leaving, and I always liked her. I always thought she was really funny. Like, she did Martha Stewart. That was really funny. Definitely check that out. Tim Kazurinsky. This guy, if you look up any nerd or stereotypical geek in the 80s, it's basically what this guy looked like, and that's what he always played on Saturday Night Live. He just played that nerd type, and very funny guy. Yeah. The Ringers, Martin Short, Billy Crystal, and Christopher Guest. Funny. But all these guys were on there for 1 year. That's it. We all know what happened afterwards. All these guys killed it after. I don't gotta say shit. Seth Meyers. I always liked how he did the news. I thought it was funny. He did that one sketch where, I don't know, Sean Penn sent something to Chris Rock at the Oscars or something, and then they made fun of that. I thought that was funny, that they made fun of that on Saturday Night Live. And again, Lorne Michaels has got the vision. What does he do? He put him as a late night host as well. And a lot of the shit he does is funny. I like the whole drinking segments he does, either with his family or Rihanna. Well, he just, he comes up with funny shit. And that's what you got to do. Again, like, the irony is that, like I said before, with Chris Parnell and Andy Samberg, they made Lazy Sunday. The first time you really saw it was on YouTube, and now everyone goes to YouTube. They put skits from Saturday Night Live on YouTube. It's all fucking connected. There you go, bud. David Spade. Love this motherfucker. Again, when I grew up loving Saturday Night Live, first discovered it, early 90s. Spade was that lovable, sarcastic prick that everybody loved. Best thing he was probably known for Saturday Night Live was doing his whole Hollywood Minute. He made some good jokes there. He pissed off Eddie Murphy for a while. That was the rumor that he said something about Eddie Murphy. Listen, I'm not repeating it. I don't want to get involved in this shit. I'm just saying, it's a funny story though. Look it up. It was actually pretty funny when like Eddie Murphy called Saturday Night Live after that happened, and like Spade, they're like, "Oh, Spade, we got Eddie Murphy on the line for can't find me." Yeah, and then they call back later. "Oh, Spade, Eddie Murphy wants to talk to you." "Oh, I'm busy. I'm in the bathroom." Like stupid shit. But anyways, and I also love when Spade did that whole thing with Helen Hunt. They were the people on the airplane there. Bye-bye. He plays that prick role perfectly. If you ever watched Tommy Boy, it's even better. Jane Hooks. Very funny woman. Very beautiful, too. I always liked her. Again, she would do, like... Basically, we saw a skit from, like, the late 80s to early 90s. Like, she was in it. I mean, she always, they even described her here as like a Southern woman type. And she played that role perfect. So I always liked her. Jason Sudeikis. Always liked this guy too. To me, he was very reminiscent of Dan Aykroyd. I mean, kind of like that every guy kind of type, but just had like kind of a not an arrogance, but like just a strong kind of presence. I mean, he could play like a dick in one skit, and then he could play like a clueless Malaka in the next. You know, so again, he's a perfect example of a guy you absolutely want on your team when you do a sketch show like this. Lorraine Newman, part of the whole not ready for primetime cast. Very funny. Very funny. Especially at a time where, you know, it was a very male driven audience, in the sense where it was very hard for a lot of the women to, like, you know, break out on screen. And, you know, a lot of people, you know, you just wouldn't get past the looks or whatever, but she played that whole Valley Girl perfect. So she's awesome. Fred Armisen, great guy, very diverse comedian, actor, always playing numerous roles on Saturday Night Live. He could play a Spanish drummer or something, and I think for a while he got some shit for that. And then he played the one governor there who was partly blind. He got in some shit for that too. But again, see, this is my point. Like, you know, like if a guy says something about Chinese or Korean people, whatever, like he gets fired for, and he doesn't even have a chance to step on the stage yet. You know, and then there's other guys like this. And again, I'm not judging Fred or the show or whatever. I'm just saying, like, there's got to be some kind of middle here. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like, why can certain people do this and they get away with it? And I don't know. Something's got to give here. Anyways, Fred Armisen, very funny guy. Andy Samberg, like I said before, Lazy Sunday, you know, brought YouTube to the forefront there. You know, he's probably best known for doing his SNL shorts, you know, Dick in a Box, Threw It on the Ground, Jizzed in My Pants. I'm on a boat, motherfucker. I'm on a boat. Doing classic skits with Michael Bolton, Akon, Kendrick Lamar. It never ended. I mean, I always thought to myself, like, why would he even leave Saturday Night Live? He's got such a cushy gig. He doesn't have to show up there live, no pressure. You do your digital short whatever every week or two and you're set, you know? What you say? All that you want to name, because it is. Chris Rock. Now, again, I'm surprised he's this high on this list. Not because I don't think Chris Rock is funny, but Chris Rock even said himself, when he was on Saturday Night Live, that's him not being funny. Now, again, like I said before, when he was on the news panel there, doing his thing, doing his, basically just his stand-up, that was him. I mean, that was him in his funniest, you know? I want to suck your big black toe. Now, that was funny too, I'm not gonna lie. If you ever have a chance, check that out, when he did the whole boy band there. But yeah, I mean, he did, you know, the whole hosting of his own show there, Nat X, you know? But I don't know. I mean, like, Chris Rock to me is in my top 5 of stand-up comedians of all time. I mean, he's fucking awesome. He said one of the best quotes of all time. And ladies, I know you're going to hate me for saying it again, but just keep in mind, I didn't say it. Chris Rock said it. A man is as faithful as his options. Now, after Chris Rock left, he had many options. And to this day, he's one of the best comedians of all time. And yeah, and that's what happens sometimes. When you're on Saturday Night Live, I mean, you know, you build up a good little rep for yourself, but, you know, a lot of times it's what you do after. Al Franken, like I mentioned before, Mr. Davis, Mr. Franken, put them together, boom, comic gold. Great writers for the show. Al Franken, yeah, I believe he's a senator now. I don't believe that either. But yeah, very funny on the show. Very, very funny. John Lovitz, hilarious. Always one of these guys, like he almost seemed like like if you take a used car salesman and, just put a little bit of care in there, that's John Lovitz. I mean, again, he was very sarcastic, but he was lovable too. Like, he was a good combination of a lot of things. And yeah, always very funny. I always liked him. Mia Rudolph, always loved her. I think she's a knockout. Every time she does Beyonce, I'm right there, man. I fall in love all over again. She is hilarious. Again, she was part of that, like, thousands mid, like in right there where the women just completely dominated, and she was a huge part of that. Adam Sandler. I did a whole podcast on Adam Sandler. You guys know how I feel about Adam Sandler. I love this man. I love him. He got fired from Saturday Night Live, which I don't know. For years, I didn't know that. Like, I didn't officially knew he got fired from Saturday Night Live. Like, I didn't know that, And then after that, he started just, doing movies, man, and making some good money. And I don't know, Lorne Michaels, man, that could have been Lorne Michaels' money, But hey, listen, things worked out. He came back to host. What was it, like a year ago or something like that? He killed it. So between all the skits he did on that show, I don't know why. Like, one of my favorite skits he ever did was he did one show. I think what was her name? The woman from 90210 there was hosting, and he's just sitting on a couch, and he's just like, yeah, this is why she broke up with me, and I'm just really mad at her, and he's just like, he's just bitching and complaining like about nothing, like, I don't know, it's just like, it's something about when Sandler gets pissed off is just fucking hilarious, but at the same time, like, he could be, that sweet guy, so, and he did a great job on Saturday Night Live, and, of course, every Christmas, you got to celebrate with the Hanukkah song, And the live version he did on Saturday Night Live is by far the best version. Check that out. Rachel Dratch. Now, I always loved her. I always thought she was really great. Again, I just saw her recently on Shameless. She was on there a couple episodes. Spoiler alert, she doesn't make it. The point is, she is fucking hilarious. There's one skit that she does with her and Tracy Morgan. Tracy Morgan's trying to, like, hook her up with Stewart there, the late night show host there, and Jon Stewart. Sorry, my bad. Please don't have me killed. Yeah, and it's just funny, like, the whole back and forth, and of course, she does the whole skit of Debbie Downer, and again, like, everyone's just laughing their ass off while she's doing it, like, she'll say some fucked up shit, and wah, wah, and it's just fucking stupid. Like, it's just like skits where like people break character, but, like, in some cases you just don't give a fuck, because it just makes it that much more funny. So yeah, I always liked her. I always thought she was really funny. Oh, my boy, Chris Farley. Oh man, fuck, man. We lost this guy way too soon, man. If there was a top 5, or my top 5 for best cast members of all time on Saturday Night Live, he's up there for sure. Again, Chris Farley was made for Saturday Night Live. He always liked working in groups, I was told. Like, I don't think he ever did stand-up. He never, but he just always felt more comfortable in, a group cast. And, for a long time, he killed it at Second City. And he was just a natural for Saturday Night Live. I mean, one of the first skits he ever did was the whole classic Chip and Dale sketch with Patrick Swayze. And apparently he was really nervous. He didn't want to do it. He went to one of his coaches at Second City there, and she told him, just go nuts. Just do it. Because they can basically smell fear. So if you go out there and you act like it doesn't bother you, it won't, and he absolutely killed it, I just can't say enough great things about Chris Farley. I mean, we miss you a lot, man, and man, he was just so funny. I mean, again, he's just one of these guys, as soon as you see him, you just laugh your ass off. I mean, there was one skit he did with, it was him, Michael Keaton, and Sandler, and I mean, the actual skit is not even that nothing special, but it's just funny because at one point, like they're fighting and Farley's wearing a wig, and like for some reason, like he's got a bald cap and then he's got the wig on, so like the wig falls off when he sees the bald cap. It's just so stupid. Like, and like everyone just laughed. Like Sandler's laughing his ass off. Like in most of the skits, like him and Sandler were in. Like Sandler would just always laugh, and I mean, you can't blame him. And of course, you got the classic and one of the best skits on Saturday Night Live of all time, Matt Foley, motivational speaker, which was actually taken from a real guy named Matt Foley, who was a friend of Chris Farley, who's an actual priest, if you can believe that. And yeah, it just, fucking, I'm not even gonna quote any shit. Like, I loved Farley so much growing up. Like, even in one drama class, I played the motivational speaker character. I think I did okay. But yeah, I mean, Farley just, he was just the best. And nobody could take a fall like Farley either. I mean, people always say that when you fall, you're automatically thinking, okay, I got to put my arms out to cushion my fall. He never did that. I mean, you look at the one skit, like in the first time they did motivational speaker, here's you, here's me, here's you, there's me, and you just smash right in the table, and like everyone's laughing their ass off. Like he gets up like it's nothing. Like he got up like remember in Dumb and Dumber when Jim Carrey got like knocked to the ground and he just gets just like like he got up like nothing. He always had his head up like he didn't give a fuck. I mean, so God bless Chris Farley, man. We miss you, man. Kristen Wiig. Can't say enough good things about her. I mean, yeah, she's one of the funniest cast members, period, on Saturday Night Live. It was crazy too. The one thing I remember, like, I'm obviously she did a lot of like really funny skits. I'm gonna get into that a little bit, but the last episode she was in, like, I remember they had this like. They did this very sweet thing for her where she danced like with all the cast members and she was like ready to cry, man. And like I could see how much she cared about being on Saturday Night Live. Like again, when you make it on Saturday Night Live, like it is such a huge honor if you're like into performing on stage and doing comedy, and I mean, there's probably a part of her that, yeah, she didn't want to leave, but her star was rising. I mean, you knew she's going to leave. I mean, she was like she's like Kate McKinnon now. I mean, that's why it's cool seeing Kate McKinnon do her thing because it's very reminiscent to Kristen Wiig, yeah, I mean, she did a lot of funny characters, man. I always like the one character she did when, I don't know, like Fred Armisen was singing a song or something, and then they would show all the girls dancing, and then for some reason, like, she had these weird, like, baby arms or something, which, again, because of the whole PC world, I guarantee you people would make fun of her because of it. Or not her, but just, like, rip on Saturday Night Live, go, oh, you're making fun of physically challenged people, and the fuck off, man. Funny is funny, who cares? But anyways, yeah, she was really, really funny, man. I mean, she still is, don't get me wrong, but I'm just saying, yeah, she's, yeah, again, you do a show like this, you definitely want her on your squad. Bill Hader. Bill Hader, man, that guy is fucking hilarious. if you watch the new show he's doing now, Barry, I just want to say this. There's one episode in season 2 where, and for those of you who already watched the show, you know what I'm talking about, but it's, in my eyes, it's going to be a classic episode in the future, just in TV, in the sense where it was just a lot of fighting was involved, but it's just like, again, just check it out. I'm not doing it any justice, but check out the show. It's great. But again, we're not here to talk about shows and movies. We're here to talk about Bill Hader on Saturday Night Live. And I think one of the first things he did was he did a great impersonation of Al Pacino, and he did great impersonations, period. And yeah, like a lot of people, you know, they compare him to like kind of a Bill Murray-ish type, and you know, I don't know, it's just the first name, whatever. But yeah, it's true. I mean, he is. I mean, he's really fucking funny, man. You know, I felt like a lot of people left, like that one year that Kristen Wiig left, a couple other people left as well. I felt if Bill Hader, Bill Hader left too, but I felt if Bill Hader stayed on there for one more year, I think his stock would have been that much more up. Not to say that like it's not good now, but I don't know, like even after when a couple people left on the original primetime cast there, you know, Bill Murray still stayed on there for one more year, and I think that helped his career as well. But again, Bill Hader's fucking hilarious. You know, check out the show Barry. He did a lot of great characters. Sorry, I was just laughing when he does like Stefan. So Stefan, I guess, is a character they would do on the news there, and I don't even know what he was supposed to be. Like, was he supposed to be like a raver or a dancer or an editor for Vogue? I don't know. The point is, he went on there and like just the voice he would do, and like he would always like cover his mouth like this with his hands, and they would even say like everything, like he would rehearse something for a script, and like a lot of times they would just change it, and that's why he would always laugh, because like he couldn't believe what the fuck he was reading, you know. I think one time he said something like, and the password is diabetes, and like he's just laughing his ass off, like I don't know, like everyone's just laughing, like, yeah. But he's a really, really funny guy. Again, you know, I mean, obviously we're getting to the you know, the last 2015 here or whatever, and yeah, I mean, you know, all these people, you just, you know, you do a sketch show, and you know, you just pray that you have people like this. My boy Will Ferrell. Again, I don't know who was that Malaka who said that he was the worst new cast member of all time, but oh, Jesus. Will Ferrell, you know, when Saturday Night Live was airing during 9/11, they eventually came back, and the first sketch they did, I remember Sean William Scott, you know, guy that played Stifler in all the American Pie movies, hosted, and they did a skit where, you know, they're all just like in a room, you know, it's some kind of conference meeting, whatever, and then Will Ferrell enters that room, and he's wearing the smallest, little belliest shirt, and he's got like an American flag thong, and at first you don't know it's a thong. I mean, at first you're just very, you know, blinded by Will Ferrell's like, I've never seen curly hair like that on a man, but I just, you know, especially an Irish one. But again, you don't realize it's a thong until he goes around the table and bends over, and it's right in all of our faces. I mean, but again, like, Ferrell is the type of guy, like, you know, you tell him, you know, look, man, we need you to do this, you know, for the show. He's your man to do it. And, you know, Ferrell just wanted to do anything for a laugh. I truly believe that. And again, I consider Will Ferrell one of the funniest cast members of all time. You know, I was, one year, it was Halloween, and I dressed up as Will Ferrell as Robert Goulet. And I don't give a fuck. I thought it was fucking hilarious. And Robert Goulet was a singer. We all know that. For some reason, Elvis hated him, but that's a tale for another day. And yeah, he would just sing rap songs. And uh, I believe, and here's my theory. And if anybody can, you know, disprove this theory of mine, please do. But I truly believe that Will Ferrell is pretty much the only white person in human history to ever say the N-word, multiple times, mind you, on a live TV show, and get away with it. If that happened today, you'd be absolutely screwed. I mean, back then, people were just laughing their ass off. And, and he's hitting fake goats, and, he's doing Harry Carey, and, the mood is made of cheese or whatever the fuck. Whatever characters he did. Yeah, let's forget about the movies, all the, whatever appearances he's done. Will Ferrell did whatever it took to get a laugh. And that's the coolest thing about Will Ferrell on Saturday Night Live. And I will always love him for that. Dana Carvey, another guy who is just built for a skit show like Saturday Night Live. I mean, he does so many great impersonations. He was part of that late 80s cast, which a lot of people say that cast, like around like the late 80s, was one of the best casts they ever had on Saturday Night Live. And, he would do a lot of great characters, Johnny Carson, George Bush, he was just a very funny guy. He's built for this shit. You know what I mean? Like, he's a guy that should still be on Saturday Night Live. Like I mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a good way, because he's just meant to do it. Like, this is a guy I want to see fucking host every single year in Saturday Night Live. I don't give a shit. I want to see a guy like this host, because you're going to get a funny show. And yeah, he's awesome. Chevy Chase, basically one of the first cast members of Saturday Night Live, part of the whole primetime, not ready for primetime cast. And yeah, he's the first guy. He was basically like the first face of Saturday Night Live, And he was only on there for a very short amount of time. I mean, afterwards, like, he wanted to leave. He wanted to go do movies and such. He said later on he left for a girl, or like, for whatever reason, his impact was there. I mean, like, he did a great job on the news. I loved him as that. When he came back to host in, I believe, the third season, if you ever have a chance to see it, check out that episode. It's almost as if, like, the whole cast wanted to prove that there was no, bad blood or nothing like that. They all just got together. And it's one of the best Saturday Night Live episodes I've ever seen. So, Chevy, man, you're fucking hilarious. I love you. Gilda Radner. Again, she's in my top 5. I think she's by far the funniest woman that's ever performed on Saturday Night Live, for sure. I don't think anybody's ever going to debate that one. The chemistry that she would just have with the whole cast in any skit was always awesome. I always liked when she played the marionette, and they would just like wave her hands around, and I thought that was awesome. And then she played Patti Smith. I remember that was really funny. The skit that she did with Bill Murray. That's funny, Todd. She was just really funny, man. Really, really funny. And apparently when she made fun of Barbara Walters didn't like that. I don't know. I don't know. I listen, I allegedly heard a rumor that Barbara Walters had sex with Richard Pryor. Allegedly, I don't know if that's true. I don't know. So, I don't know. Apparently, that's the only time she had a funny bone in her. The point is that Gilda Radner was fucking hilarious. Love her, man. We miss you. Amy Poehler. One of the women that saved Saturday Night Live in the thousands. Her and Tina Fey. I always say that. Those two together are always awesome. It's always funny, too, because like the first time I ever saw Amy Poehler, I believe, was in Deuce Bigalow, Male Gigolo. And then, like, right after that, she got hired to be on Saturday Night Live. And, yeah, she killed it. Absolutely killed it. You know, her and Faye back and forth on the news was always great. You know, it's just see that's the thing. Like when you like when I was at Second City, like you learn like you know like to play off other people and to help other people. And women like Amy Poehler, were just perfect examples of that. Like, I mean, like you'd see in like skits, like she would always like, you know, step her game up a little bit more if she had to, and like she had a really strong presence, and you know, it's just cool to see that. Like, it really is. It's nice. It's a good feeling to have, honestly. Phil Hartman. Another guy we lost way too soon. Way too soon. Man, it's, again, I talked about Don Pardo being the voice of Saturday Night Live. Phil Hartman, yeah, he was definitely the runner-up, he did a lot of great skits. Really launched his career, I noticed on Saturday Night Live, is when he played Bill Clinton, like going to a McDonald's, and the whole point is like Bill Clinton is just running around the block, and what's the best way to end an exercise? Of course, go to McDonald's, and he's just like talking to all the people. He's like taking their food, like eating the burger, fries, whatever, and and even after that, like he started getting like a lot more voiceover work, and and the classic commercial sketch that they did, which I mentioned before, Colon Blow. If you can look that up, that is fucking hilarious. And yeah, man, Phil Hartman, man, we miss you. Bill Murray. It's Bill fucking Murray. What else do I have to say? It's Bill Murray. It's Bill Murray, man. Like, I mean, this guy's like a fucking god. Anyways, Bill Murray came in. He took the place for Chevy Chase when he left. And I remember watching that episode. He did 2 sketches. The first one he did, he was just by himself. He did this little phone thing, whatever, just speaking to the camera. It was good. The second one he did this whole thing where he was directing like a play or some kind of TV thing or whatever. You knew right after seeing that skit, like, this is the next guy. Like, this is the guy, like, he's gonna take over. You just knew. It's one of the, I'm not just saying that to kiss his ass, whatever. You just knew. Like, I watched it, years later or whatever, of course, but you watch it and you're just like, Jesus Christ, this guy's a fucking talent, And one of the funny skits he did where he would just sing in the shower, like soap on a rope. So someone gave him a gift in real life, like a microphone bar of soap. And he's like, fuck it, I'll make a skit out of this. So that's where that came from. He would do the lounge singer, which is always hilarious. Star Wars, when will it end? I mean, the list goes on, man. I just, a guy like this is just built for Saturday Night Live. And Lorne Michaels knew that. And even when they did the 40th anniversary show, they're just singing a whole bunch of songs. And Bill Murray sings the theme song to Jaws. Now, keep in mind, there's no lyrics in Jaws. It's just Bill Murray just doing Bill Murray. Like, apparently they wanted to do this like back in the day, and yeah, you know what? 40 years later, why not? Dan Aykroyd. Guys, you know how much I love Ghostbusters, right? You know how much I love Trading Places, and even Dr. Detroit. I don't like Dan Aykroyd. To me, can do no wrong. I again, this guy is like a god to me. Proud Canadian. Just when he said when he met John Belushi, it was just it was like his brother. I read this book one time. I guess I've only read like 5 books in my lifetime. This is one of them, and the interviewer is interviewing both, or they're trying to interview one, like John, and then like Dan's in the room. He keeps interrupting John. John, is talking back and forth with Dan Aykroyd, and like you could just see like the chemistry these two guys had. I mean, this was, the groundwork in my eyes for the beginning of Saturday Night Live. I mean, these two guys together were just fucking awesome. But Aykroyd by himself was hilarious. I mean, when he did the Bass-O-Matic classic sketch, he said he would just see these like people late one night, when he's writing and whatever, just on TV, and just make fun of him. Coneheads, again, a perfect example. Like, he was watching TV late one night. He saw some commercial, whatever. He saw a guy with a pointy head. He said, okay, how much funnier would it be if it was 3 more feet on there? There you go. And then he did the classic sketch where he was the cook there, whatever. The girl, oh, put it in the pan, and then like he's fucking bleeding all over the place, and like he wrote a lot of shit too for the show, and genius idea, by the way, of having people send you weed so they can test it. That's a great way of getting free drugs. I don't know. I'm just always in awe of Dan Aykroyd. I love this man. I mean, me and my family always reminisce on skits and movies about him, and he's just an awesome guy. Like, he really is. And one thing I always wondered about Dan Aykroyd is there was one episode of Saturday Night Live where at the end of it, like, they all get together at the end of the stage there, and he said something like if anybody out there has a part for like some kind of motorcycle or a Chevy or whatever, like, can you please contact me? I to this day, I still have no idea if he ever got that part. But, if someone can let me know out there that he did. I mean, this is way before, what's it called? The internet. And, yeah, please let me know. I'm just curious. But God bless you, Dan Aykroyd. I love you. Mike Myers, another proud Canadian boy. I mean, what do you say about this guy? You got Austin Powers. You got Shrek. You got Wayne's World. Wayne's World came from Saturday Night Live. And even before that, he was on cable access in Canada, I heard, and he would have a show on there, and he carried it over to Saturday Night Live, and he would do the sketch where he's in the tub with Danny DeVito, and he had Madonna show up like butter. And it just, again, like the creative genius that is Mike Myers. I mean, just one after another, after another, after another. It was just fucking awesome. I mean, like, it's guys like this that made Saturday Night Live worth watching, for sure. And again, it was part of that whole early 90s, when I got hooked on there. And yeah, man, I mean, Mike Myers is always going to have a special place in my heart too, man. So shout out to Mike Myers, man. Yeah, I love you. Tina Fey. Oh. Now, I always hope that, the Greek essence of Saturday Night Live will always be there. And like Tina Fey did such a great job. Like, just, again, like I said before, and I'll say it again and again, I don't give a fuck. Early thousands, mid thousands, she killed it on the news, as a writer, everything. I mean, just, awesome. I can see Russia from my house. Most of the times when she did the Malaka, Sarah Palin, there was one skit where, like, they just said what she said. Like, they didn't write anything out. They didn't try to make her look stupid. She did that on her own. And they just, they dressed Tina Fey up, and then boom, there you go. That's it. Okay? 30 Rock was awesome. Okay? Obviously, 30 Rock was based on a lot of the things, I'm assuming, that went on in the actual 30 Rock and NBC on Saturday Night Live. But the greatest thing about Tina Fey that I always liked is, like I said before, the early thousands, mid thousands, the women dominated. They absolutely killed it. And, she led the pack for sure. God bless her. She is awesome. Tina Fey. Oh, I love you. Eddie Murphy. Now, just a couple podcasts ago, I talked about Eddie Murphy. I mean, can I honestly say more about this magical man that came on Saturday Night Live when he was only 19? 19. Can you imagine like being a 19-year-old and, like Lorne Michaels leaves the show. Like, here's the guy that started the whole thing, okay? So whoever takes over that position is going to have pressure. Then if you're part of the new cast of people coming on there, and you're only 19, and he fucking killed it. Gumby, Velvet Jones, Mr. Robinson's Neighborhood. Ow, Too Hot in the Hot Tub. I mean, just like every fucking character he did. Even when he did that character when he's talking about the guy who invented peanut butter, and he goes, so soil, and the people, soil. And so I messed up, shut up. That's it. Like he made that shit funny. I mean, like Eddie Murphy saved Saturday Night Live from being canceled. Plain and simple. Said it before, and I'll say it again. The guy is a living legend. And he just hosted Saturday Night Live. After all this time, he came back and he killed it. He brought back all the classic characters. And it was Christmas. It wasn't even Christmas Eve. It was the 23rd, and we all felt like it was Christmas because we were just waiting for Eddie Murphy to come back on there and kill it again like he did for years and years and made those painful 80s episodes worth watching. Thank you, God. Oh, man. Eddie, you're a legend, man. We love you. Come back to host Saturday Night Live again. Please. Please. We need you. And number 1, John Belushi. Again, this is a man that we lost way too soon, but holy shit did this guy make an impact. Bernstein was his agent, and he made a really good point. He said, for a guy who only did 7 movies and 4 years on Saturday Night Live, and he's still remembered. And Belushi passed away quite some time ago, and his essence of Saturday Night Live will never be forgotten. He is basically the first rock and roll star of Saturday Night Live. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Comedy is meant to be uncensored. And John Belushi was the perfect example of that. He was wild. He was crazy. He did whatever the fuck he wanted. Like, there were skits where he would do Joe Cocker just singing the famous theme song from the Wonder Years. And he's just sweating his ass off, just drinking away on stage, going nuts on the floor. He would do the Samurai. See the one with Buck Henry? Well, I think he did a couple with... Well, see the very first one. There's a great... Like, first of all, he used a real sword. Okay, none of this plastic shit. Okay? He throws the tomato in the air. He slices it perfectly in half. It's a work of art. When he did Truman Capote...
Well, I always thought, he was interesting.
That was awesome. I mean, the list goes on. Captain Kirk. Oh, my God. It was just... Again, and how many people, because of this man, followed in his footsteps? Guys like Chris Farley, Jack Black, it just... I can't say enough nice things about this guy. I can't. And you know what? To this day, I still start the day off with little chocolate donuts. Because for any Olympian, such as myself, it is the best way to start the day. Unless you find yourself at a Greek restaurant, and for some reason they don't have bacon and eggs. Cheeseburger, cheeseburger, cheeseburger. No Coke, Pepsi. No fries, chips. You got to cut corners in a Greek restaurant. Even he knew that. His dad ran a couple restaurants, and I'm sure he incorporated all those ideas there. And that's what you do when you're a cast member on Saturday Night Live. You bring all your experiences so far in life and you bring it onto the screen. And you just put a little funny twist in it. And that's what John Belushi did. He just created this awesome persona of this is the thing to do. This is the thing I want to do for the rest of my life, is just be on Saturday Night Live and just make people laugh, And that's always been the essence of Saturday Night Live. Just make people laugh. Even like I said before, in the 9/11 episode, Lorne Michaels asked Mayor Giuliani, "Can we be funny?" And then he said, "Why start now?" And that's the key to life. I mean, a lot of times you're not always going to feel like being funny, and you're going to have to deal with horrible situations in your life. And that was the greatest thing to me, is watching Saturday Night Live and just forgetting all that. And Saturday Night Live represents that great essence of comedy where all these different funny people can come together from different places in the world and just make everybody in the world laugh. I do feel sometimes that Saturday Night Live is missing one thing, though. Where's the funny fat guy? Where can we find a funny fat guy? Again, Horatio Sands is not there anymore. Farley was really fun. He could be anywhere. And the point is, as long as you make people laugh, that's all that matters. And with shows like Saturday Night Live always being on television and making us laugh right before we go to bed, that's all that matters. So Saturday Night Live, I'd like to say thank you very much for all the great years of entertainment, and let's keep this thing going forever. Lorne Michaels, you're the man. And thank you very much for Saturday Night Live.